Hi, welcome back. Now, as an intermediate painter, you're going to find that a lot of little twists and turns come. So right now, this painting is basically, it's still early halfway done, right? We've created some kind of brush strokes in front so that we create almost like a perspective. So we've got perspective happening in the sky with these shadows on the edges, almost like vignettes. We still need to lighten up some of this sky so that it becomes three-dimensional. It's still quite flat. Same thing is going on with these hills. We've got very minute hints of where the hills darken lights, but we still need to work on this. And this is something that always know when you do a brush stroke and it doesn't look right, you can't Command Z, but you can always clean it up with a new brush stroke. So whatever brush strokes you place on this canvas, it's never wrong. So here down in the distance, I want to create some kind of course I'm doing blue, but I don't want it to be blue. I'm going to create some kind of almost like a little lake, but basically in that position, this one here is going to look white instead of a blue. But I just want to have a hint of blue in the depths here. So this is in amongst the greenery that's in front. Again, this greenery here, you see how it's very vague? You get a hint of what you're going to put in, but you also need to create strong highlights and strong deep shadows. Almost like you've got an inkling of a road happening here. You see that? You still have to create the lights and the darks in order to pop it out. We did the second stage in the little house. You can see it's a little barn, an old rundown barn. So we don't want to make it perfect. We just want to hit the highlights and the shadows again. This is also something that we can, everybody's flavor is always different. So whether you make brush strokes that are casual and loose, or whether you make brush strokes that are more tight, each picture starts out the same, but it always finishes something different. So with this lesson here, I want you to start looking at, especially with the highlights. So we're going to be using a lot of tinted whites. You don't want to use stark white because it really looks bad. You want to be careful with your highlights. Again, you're going to be doing some highlights, but you're also going to come back and do shadows, and then you might even have to retouch the highlights again, depending on, you see how that popped? So always look at this. There's deep shadow there, highlights right beside it. Again, deep shadow, so at the tips of these boards, you want to create, I want to be a little drier though, my brush, because if it's wet, it's just going to take over everything. Now in this stage, you can be a little more careful with your brush strokes. So go ahead and have fun. Always remember, where there's shadow, there's got to be somewhere, there's got to be highlight. So if there's deep shadow behind this barn, this little piece here gets, you see? So that starts getting dimension. Again, we got shadows here, so we're going to pop the highlights there. And right away you start happening. Something always starts to happen. Well, keep going and let me know how you progress.